Welcome back to Compositions Allies. My name is Barney. I'm a classical composer, and this is a channel for composers as well as performers interested in composition. In today's episode of Composition for Beginners, we're going to talk about whether or not to go to school for composition. I think there's pros, I think there's cons. We'll start with the pros. The pros are you have regular performances of your music, you have regular lessons, and you will get to meet people. Okay. When you have regular performances of your music, you may have, for example, 2 composer concerts a year, 3 scheduled composer concerts a year. And what happens is you can then organize with performers. You can tell them about the date. You can find out their availability. And then the piece actually happens. One of the big problems for composers is we're procrastinators. But when we have a deadline actually fixed in stone, that's where the magic happens. You may find as a composer that you are too perfectionist. A lot of us are perfectionists, and you get stuck and you don't advance. But when you have that deadline, something happens, and there's like magic, and all of a sudden you find these innovative solutions that you could have never imagined. Okay, so having regular performances is one of the big advantages of going to school. Okay. Also, you're going to have regular lessons. So when you have regular lessons with a teacher, you can build a rapport with them. And this teacher in the future, they might be able to write a letter of recommendation to you. They may be able to recommend you to other people. Another really big benefit of going to school is having access to a lot of people, okay, meeting a lot of different people. And these are people that you might collaborate with one day. For example, I think I mentioned in the previous video, my symphony hub was on the way for orchestra. So some of the people that I met in college or grad school, once I have the funding for this orchestra, they may be the first people that I contact to be in the orchestra. Okay. Other advantage too is like if you're at a school, it's a concentrated location, so it's easier to organize, getting to rehearsal. There are some cons to school, and I do think they have to be addressed. Even though we like to promote schooling, there are some cons. I think it can be a huge time suck, okay? For in America, we have a bachelor's program, it's 4 years. That's expensive. Not just in terms of money, but just in terms of time, okay? Spending 4 years, you're not gonna have a job afterwards, right? In order to have a job in composition, you need a doctor at the very least, and even then you're not guaranteed to have a job in terms of full-time employment. Okay, so you're basically investing in something, and then you're still going to have to find a job in a different career, different field. Maybe you can teach performance, but you're not going to have a job as a composer most likely. So that's a lot of time and energy you invest when you are still going to have to start over or start from zero. Another problem I think with school is that you have a lot of extra classes. You have liberal arts, you might have other music classes, and though they can be nice, they won't really prepare you as a composer. I will say from personal experience, I had to move to Paris, France to get the training I wanted. I needed training in harmony and counterpoint fugue, orchestration. I couldn't really get the quality in America. So despite 4 years and then another 2 years in grad school, I still needed more schooling. Okay, so that is quite a time suck. I think another problem with schooling is being exposed to dangerous ideologies. So I've been to a number of programs, both, as a school or a summer program, where there are certain aesthetics that I didn't agree with, but because it was so dominant, it started to affect my own music. So a number of schools, composers will say, Philip Glass is the composer. John Adams is the composer. Shostakovich, they don't mention Shostakovich for 20th century music. There's all these aesthetics. One school I went to, one of the teachers said, you have to have one extended technique in every single piece. It's absolutely ridiculous. Another school, the composer, one of the teachers actually said, we don't write tonal music. Okay, so there's these like strong opinions of what is good and bad music, and eventually it actually leaks into you. And I was actually blocked for like maybe 6 or 7 years. I wasn't writing my authentic voice. I was still writing good music, but it wasn't like excellent. And I think one of the reasons is I had this inner censor that was a result of having this toxic kind of aesthetic in the school environment. So if you are composing on your own or you're out in the real world, this might be an advantage because we see a big difference between what the general public finds to be good music within the classical music world and then what academia considers to be good music.